Mixed grazing dates from antiquity and still exists in many natural plant-animal ecosystems throughout the world. For the livestock producer, the increase in saleable animal products from mixed grazing with domestic and/or wildlife species offers the potential for higher economic returns with more complete and uniform defoliation of vegetation. However, mixed grazing with livestock is not practiced in many locations due mainly to sheep and goat losses from predation. In the western United States, coyotes are the primary predators. Several methods have been used to reduce losses from coyote predation, including trapping, shooting, and electrified fences. However, no one control method has been found appropriate in all situations. The use of guarding dogs has proven to be effective in reducing coyote predation among flocking species, especially on large areas of brush-infested rangeland. Dogs have been used successfully to protect livestock in Europe and Asia for many centuries. Present-day breeds like the Turkish Akbaş, seen here protecting sheep on the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Hornada experimental range, have had their behavior modified as puppies. By placing newly weaned puppies together with lambs and allowing the two species to grow up together, an enduring bond develops between the two species. As adults, the dogs will stay with and protect the sheep, especially from threatening canines. We believe guard dogs can form the basis of an ecological approach to predator protection. However, they may not be the entire solution, especially if they do not consistently stay with the flock. In addition, if the sheep flock splits into more groups than the number of dogs available, some sheep will be unprotected. Yet overall, guard dogs have proven very successful in protecting small ruminants from coyote, bear, and other predators. Adapting the concept of penning two species together with the goal of creating a bond, we began a research project in 1985 to attempt to bond lambs to heifers. This research was later expanded to include both Angora and Spanish goats. To produce bonded sheep, we penned 45 to 90-day-old ewe lambs with tolerant young cattle. We hypothesized the result would be lambs and eventually adult ewes that would remain in close association with the cattle under rangeland conditions, and as a result of this close association, predation losses would be reduced. Following 60 days of pen confinement, the ewe lambs appeared bonded because of their close association to cattle when observed under rangeland conditions. In subsequent research, Angora and Spanish goats were also found to bond to cattle. However, the bond in Spanish goats was the least enduring. The bond appears to be unidirectional and species, not individual specific. Cattle do not appear to bond to sheep, but simply tolerate their presence. The first lambs we bonded consistently stayed within 20 meters of the cattle, while non-bonded lambs ranged between 600 and 1,000 meters from the cattle. This close association of bonded sheep with cattle endured over time as the lambs matured into adult sheep. This group we termed a flirt, since the two animal species tended to act as a unit rather than as two separate groups, i.e. a flock and herd. Further studies confirmed that coyote predation of bonded sheep was reduced when compared to non-bonded sheep. During a study lasting 163 days, no bonded sheep were lost to coyotes, while non-bonded sheep were lost at a mean rate of 1 every 5 days. We believe sheep are protected because coyotes are intimidated by the cattle, possibly as a result of size differences between cows and coyotes. However, we have seen that a threatening canine can elicit aggression on the part of cattle. Subsequent studies have revealed additional benefits of flirts. Free-ranging cattle and non-bonded sheep are rarely found together, thus extra time may be required to locate both species. Sheep are smaller and tend to blend into a landscape more easily than cattle, thus locating sheep can be difficult during dormancy or inclement weather, especially if paddocks are large and infested with brush. However, once cattle have been located, bonded sheep will be near since they have developed an impelling need to associate with cattle. This close association of bonded sheep with cattle has further management implications. Sheep-proof wire fencing can add substantial cost to implementing mixed grazing in areas where small ruminants have not previously been stocked. Bonding offers an alternative method for restraining sheep. We confined cattle in one of two similar and adjoining paddocks separated by only a 2-wire fence. Over a period of several months, we evaluated the spatial distribution of bonded and non-bonded sheep using the same cattle. Bonded sheep never separated from the cattle during either dormancy or periods of active growth. In contrast, non-bonded sheep were only found with the cattle 46% of the time. However, because the bond is species and not individual specific, it is necessary for adjoining non-sheep-proof fenced paddocks to be free of cattle for this type of sheep control to be successful. Range animal scientists continue to search for effective methods to improve animal distribution. Our research indicates non-bonded sheep and cattle do not graze in close proximity to one another. Non-bonded sheep may completely separate from cattle and graze over a much smaller area as a result of the sheep's instinct to flock. Thus, flocking may lead to spot grazing and non-uniform use over time. In contrast, bonded sheep always remain close to cattle, yet diets of non-bonded and bonded sheep are similar. We believe cattle are largely responsible for the spatial distribution of a flirt. Thus, distribution of bonded sheep is almost identical to that of the cattle. Labor and feed required to create bonded sheep by confining small groups consisting of 7 lambs and 3 heifers in a pen for 55 days costs approximately 50 cents per sheep per day in $1992. However, shorter periods of pen confinement, followed by confinement in small brush-free areas, may reduce the cost to produce a bonded sheep. In conclusion, modifying and using animal behavior as a tool offers management flexibility and environmental benefits to livestock producers who practice mixed grazing.